Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Professor Hall and today we are going to be talking about proofreading. This is part of a course on professional and technical writing, but if you are not looking for professional and technical writing, that's okay. If you're just here on YouTube kind of looking for some tips on proofreading, I hope that there's something here for you to learn as well. So this is actually the first part of a 3-part series on grammar and proofreading, where it's not an intense look at grammar, but what I've done here in this presentation is go over 5 things that I feel are kind of miscellaneous issues that a lot of people have with their documents and 5 easy fixes to improve your proofreading right away. The other 2 presentations that are coming up after this one, those focus on specific grammatical errors, and I concentrated there on the ones that I see the most in people's papers and in technical and professional documents when I do editing. So let's get started. There we go. How many spelling errors can you find? This is from a human services document talking about one of their clients. So it's from a report. Client comes here with injuries, comes to appointments late, needs to leave early, is secretive about their home life. Supposedly there is frequent absenteeism due to medical problems or concerns about children. Client is, excessively emotional, tearful, angry, depressed, nervous, and confused too. Client has low energy, fatigue, and has trouble making decisions. Does not feel confident about making any big decisions without partner and will not make appointments without partner. Partner shows up frequently at client's jobs activity site, which is weird because he doesn't have a car and should be at work himself as part of his probation. I have serious concerns about client and children, and I think she's in danger. Now, I will tell you for the purpose of this exercise, I changed, I think, 3 things here, but the other errors were there. So how many did you find? Well, technically, I tried to read it as smoothly as possible, but hopefully you picked up some few things even when reading it out loud. That's my first tip for proofreading. Just read your work out loud. We had 4 commonly misspelled words: here, there, and to. So we'll see in a minute where those were. Then there were 9 misspelled words that could have been found with a simple spell check. So running it through spell check could have found secretive, supposedly, absenteeism, client, fatigue, energy, weird, himself, and serious. Did you also notice the missing apostrophe, missing comma, or sentence fragments? So here what I've done, the blue words here are those homophones, which we'll talk about in a minute. It's the wrong here in the first sentence. We have there spelled incorrectly in this instance. It should be this there should be up there, and that there should be down there. We'll clarify that in a second. The pink words are the ones that could have been easily fixed with just a simple spell check. And I think for this, I changed energy and I changed serious. I think the other ones were there. We also have BC for because. I didn't even circle that. Is that correct? Sort of, but it's not the kind of document where we're doing shorthand. And then here in the yellow, we're missing a comma before the which, and here we're missing an apostrophe with the she's. Again, a spelling and grammar check probably would have picked those up. I don't know about the comma, but definitely the apostrophe. So the report is kind of a mess. What I find, there are 2 types of errors. Words like supposedly are easy to spot, and they're also easy to correct. Most of the time, the errors I see like that are made because people have a lot of work to do. So they might type too quickly, they forget to do spell check before submitting. They might even do it kind of as a joke if they want to look up supposedly later or fix it later, and then they forget. A quick read through, as I said, or a spell check using Word, Google Docs. You can even use Grammarly, which is a free tool online. They have a paid version, but the free version is pretty good as well. can fix these errors. And then we have a second type of error, and that's, as I just mentioned, homophones. So homophones are a type of homonym, which can mean a word that, sorry, my mic's cutting out here. Homophones are a type of homonym that sound alike, but they have different meanings and different spellings. So some homonyms are homographs, which means that they're written the same way, but they sound different, right? Like read and read, R-E-A-D, R-E-A-D, spelled the same way, we just pronounce it differently, right, if it's present or past tense. Read and read, R-E-D, R-E-A-D, are homophones. They're spelled differently. So, for example, pair, pair, and pair. There we go. A pair, P-A-I-R, is two things. P-A-R-E means to cut down. And then the P-E-A-R, payer, sometimes people put pay for too by mistake. And then the P-E-A-R is the fruit, right? So those are homophones. They kind of, with payer, it sort of sounds the same. Depending if you're in the South, maybe you have a little bit of a twang. But, these are pair, pair, and pair. Sounds the same as I'm saying them, but they're written differently. So that's the first thing. Know which of those. The second thing is, so let's go to tip 1. Know your apostrophes. Apostrophe for possessives. Amy's ballet class, the parents' bedroom, the children's room. Apostrophes have two different uses. The first is that they show possession. So you can see, as I just read, Amy's ballet class, parents' bedroom, children's rooms. This is something that I get a lot of times. People have a problem with this rule in particular. They know that they need an apostrophe for possession, but they don't know quite where to put the apostrophe. So if you have one person owning it, this is singular possession. So Mark owns the book. Child's toy, the child owns, or at least plays with, their parents own it, the toy. When you have plural, it's two or more people owning it. So then the apostrophe goes after the S. So it's already made into a plural with the S. The apostrophe goes at the end. The workers, all of the workers belong to or own the office. Drivers, all of the drivers own, really long arrow there, own the cars. Apostrophes are also used when removing letters to form contractions. So with she is becomes she's, where the I is removed. Cannot becomes can't. The N-O is removed. We're showing that shortening there by using the apostrophe. I am equals I'm. The A is removed. Now, at one point, I had a teacher who said the reason for showing possession is that a lot of times it would be in the very early days. She said it would be something like, sorry for my writing here, Mark his book. Right, so a long time ago, that's kind of how they would write it. And then the apostrophe then, whoops. The apostrophe then takes out the H-I, and it becomes Mark's book. To be honest with you, I don't know whether she was correct in that or if she was just sort of making that up to kind of explain things. What I had another teacher tell me is that it's like the arrow is, the apostrophe is like a little arrow pointing to whoever owns it. So here it's Mark, right? Here it's more than one worker owning the office. So the apostrophe points to all the workers, as opposed to just one worker where it would point to just one worker and be before the S. So if you can think about it that way, that's kind of an easy little trick. Apostrophes with homophones. The pairs your and your are also confused, and so are its and its and there. So the your with the apostrophe is you are, and the A is being removed. Same thing with its with the apostrophe. it is, and the I is being removed. So these are all contractions. There, they are. The A is being removed. So if you're having some confusion about which word you want to use, try putting in the full phrase, right? Your coat is dirty. You're not going to write your coat is dirty, right? So in that case, you would want this your coat instead of the one with the apostrophe. So if you can substitute in whole words for the apostrophe versions, you can proofread these fairly easily. For example, your dinner is ready. Wrong! Your dinner doesn't make sense. It's your dinner. Your dinner versus you are dinner. One leaves you nourished and the other leaves you dead. Correct grammar saves lives. They're going to be late for the meeting. Wrong. They are going to be late for the meeting. So you want the one with the apostrophe. They are going to be late for the meeting. Tip 2, understand personal possessive pronouns. Pronouns are words that replace a noun. I, we, you, he, she, it, and they. Personal possessive pronouns are used when ownership is involved. My, ours, yours, his, hers, its, and theirs. Now, you notice that these words do not have an apostrophe. So with the word its in particular, this is the one that I see the most mistakes on. Are you replacing it for it is, or is it owning something? So it's, no apostrophe, belonging to it. The bank fired its marketing firm. The marketing firm belongs to the bank, right? It's with the apostrophe equals it is or it has. So it is cold outside, gets the apostrophe. It has been raining. It's been raining for the last 10 days. Again, with the apostrophe. The cup is hers. Nope. The cup is hers. No apostrophe. So when it comes to its and its, again, ask if there's possession. Ask whether there is possession and ownership, or is it the case where a letter is being taken out? If the letter's being taken out, gets the apostrophe. If it's ownership, no apostrophe in there. So the first two tips, right, kind of go together. Knowing which things are homophones is the first step, and then also knowing how to use those apostrophes, whether or not it's in with a pronoun. So, commonly confused words. Some of these are homophones and some are not. Right, and right. I try to give a little tip here that you can kind of think back to. So if you think we write, as in physically making letters with your hand or typing, we write gets the W. The R, the first R there, right, is like right hand turn, and the second one means a ritual. If you look at that root, R-I-T, R-I-T, that's the same thing that we get ritual from. So that's kind of an easy way to remember that. Loose and lose, I see a lot of times. These are not homophones because they don't sound the same, but a lot of times people put in that extra O. So I always think the extra O makes your pants loose. 2, 2, and 2. The first one is the number, the second one is the direction, and the third one means also. So 2 as in an extra O. There, and there. We talked about the apostrophe before. The second thing is to remember the place is here or there. You can see where I've underlined this. Just a T in front of here. So if you're looking for the place, spelled the same as here, but just with a T in front. The personal pronoun has "er" at the end, kind of like a person who would inherit. So their wealth. Here and here, again, here and there is an easy way to remember. Here with the R-E is the place, and with the E-A-R, that's something that we listen to. Where and where. The first one is to wear clothes. The second one, again, is referring to place. So here, there, and everywhere. has that H-E-R-E again and again and again, with a T in front of it, with a W in front of it. Accept and accept. These are almost homophones because they sound the same, and a lot of times when we say them, we pronounce them very similarly, right? So you accept a thing being offered, and you, like everyone, accept your ex. The EX there is to show exception, setting something apart. Accept means you are like agreeing to it, another A word. Through and through, you go through a tunnel. Going through a tunnel is rough. It has rough at the end. The other through is like if you throw a ball. Allowed and allowed. The first one means that you're giving permission. When it's loud, it's a loud. Has that word at the end. You're saying something out loud, then it's allowed. Whose and whose. This is the same rule as its. So if you have the apostrophe, it's who is. So if you're saying, who's coming with me to the movies tonight? Who is coming with me? Apostrophe S. If I say, whose sweater is this? Who is sweater is this? Is not going to work, right? So it's the first one with the SE. All right, tip 4. So there are a couple rules for commas, and I want to go over just a few of them. Again, if you're watching this and you're in my class, we're going to have some handouts on this as well in Blackboard. And in addition, there's some chances for you to do practice. So if I'm going too quickly, I apologize. I love that picture. Oh, it's such a nerdy grammar joke. All right, number 1. Commas after introductory phrases. So here, according to Julie, comma, she has not used drugs in 3 months. Until we have a drug test, comma, I cannot confer or deny any of her claims. 2, use commas in a series. So if you have more than 2 things that you're listing, Julie's children are Tom, Ellie, and Brad. We get a comma after Tom and a comma after Ellie, or L, however you want to pronounce that, and then we have Brad. That one comma after L, if you're interested, is called an Oxford comma. I always say that you should have it because it just makes things easier. Other people don't, but that you can look up online if you want that debate. In my class, you use it. There we go. Number 3, use commas before fanboys conjunction. So if you've heard about these before in one of your other classes, fanboys is an acronym. It stands for and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. So the thing about fanboys is that you use those, they're called conjunctions, and you use those conjunctions to combine 2 sentences. So Julie has been out of work is a full sentence. She has 3 job interviews lined up this week. That's another full sentence. We're combining it with this conjunction, and the comma comes before. So comma, but. Commas before any dialogue. Julie told me, comma, quote, I want my children back and I'm pregnant again. Now you notice here we also have the comma before that conjunction, right? So it is used twice. I used the same joke twice. Oh, I'm a double nerd. I forgot that was in there twice. All right, common rules 5 through 8. Number 5, a comma comes between 2 adjectives to describe the same noun. To be honest with you, this is one that I don't see that often. A lot of times in technical and professional writing, you're cutting those adjectives out to make things more clear and concise. We talked about that in a previous lecture, right? So I don't see it that much, but I wanted to bring it up because it's one of the comma rules. So the new comma black computer. You wouldn't have the new black computer with no comma because then new would be describing black. Here our comma shows that both of these words are describing, modifying, however you want to put it, the computer. So this is the noun, and these are two adjectives. The old, outdated policies. Old and outdated both describe the policies, which is our noun, so they get the comma between them. Use comma to separate parts of the date. This one is pretty commonly known. I don't see this mistake too often. March 15th, 2013 was a strange day, or Friday, comma, March 15th, comma, 2013 was a strange day. Any of those are correct. I don't see people making that mistake very often. I see number 5 as a mistake when it's in there, but a lot of times people don't do it. Commas with numbers greater than 999. Again, something that most people learn pretty early on, but again, just to cover all the comma rules. 1,000, comma, 1. 45,989,270. The commas are in there. Number 8. Use a comma when the first word of the sentence is a freestanding yes or no. Again, in technical and professional writing, I don't see this come up that often. Same thing with number 5. Now, if you're taking this class and you're an English major and you're also interested in creative writing, or if you're just watching this online, these are some pretty good rules. So, yes, pause. I saw the duck when I went running. No, pause. The duck did not bite me. This came up oddly. Okay, so tip number 5 is knowing how to use hyphens. I wish that this had come up one bit at a time. First, use a hyphen to join 2 or more words serving as a single adjective. So chocolate-covered peanuts, go together. Well-known authors go together. This particular rule, what I recommend is I find that the best way to learn this rule for number 1 with the 2 words modifying the noun that kind of go together, the best way to learn it, this is going to sound kind of odd, is to run that Microsoft grammar check or go through Grammarly, where it will teach you and say to you, you need a hyphen here because you have 2 adjectives before a noun. I think it's a little bit more delicate situation for new writers to kind of pick up on. Our much-loved teacher was 63 years old. Compound numbers, much loved modifies teachers. That goes back to rule number 1. And then we have 63 years old. We actually should have a hyphen here and a hyphen here. Her 2-year-old son is a handful. Compound number there. 2-year-old. 63 years old. 2-year-old. 3, use a hyphen with prefixes. For example, former self with the suffix all, ex-husband, self-assured, mid-September, pre-Civil War. So you can see here, even though this is capitalized, this does not get capitalized. That's one of the things it's saying. If you have the word self in there, or if you have all, like self-assured, I don't want to restart. Self-assured, all-knowing, president-elect, those all get hyphens. You have it between a prefix and a capitalized word like ex-husband, and a capitalized word like mid-September or pre-Civil War. And you keep that first part of the word there. Not capitalized. Sorry, it took me a second to get rid of that. So, remember, there are a lot of intricate rules for grammar, punctuation, syntax, and spelling. You don't have to know all of them right away. There are some tools that can help you. There are apps that can help you. And what I think is important, though, is that those are not going to correct all the mistakes for you. And you really have to know when the app or when that Microsoft Word or when that Google Docs spell check is correct and when it's giving you false information. That's the biggest thing. So it's important to kind of know the rules so that you can know if your tool is correct. It's kind of like, if you had a calculator for the first time when you're doing math, you can press 9 plus 6 like you're supposed to, or you can press 9 times 6. The calculator is going to give you an answer, but if you press the wrong button, it's not going to give you the correct answer, right? Same thing with spell check. It'll tell you an answer, but it might not be the correct one. And sometimes it'll give you 3 or 4 options, and you're not sure which one to pick. So the best thing that you can do is go over these tips again, do the practice, and then when you're actually going to do your work and proofread your own work, read it out loud before submitting it, hitting send, or publishing. The other thing is that a lot of times somebody wants to have another person read their work for them. So they'll say to me like, I'm not good at grammar and proofreading, can I just have somebody read it over? If you have someone read it over, I highly, highly recommend. My office hours are going to be done in the Writing Center, at least this year, depending on if you're listening to it, or part of my office hours are. Or you can come into my office, or you can go to the Writing Center. And the reason I say that is if you take if you're in college for a different thing or you're at our college, if you go to the Writing Center, they don't fix things for you. But what they do is they teach you how to fix it for next time. And it's like, the old saying, give a man a fish and feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. If you go to the Writing Center 2 or 3 times, or if you have a teacher look over your paper with you, and go through it and explain some of those grammar mistakes that you're making. Or if you have, for my assignments, I'll go through and I'll just tell you what lines are on, and I might give you a resource on how to fix it if you're in an online class. That's really what I'd like to see, so that you can kind of learn how to get better accuracy in your work. You can learn those grammar rules. They can be overwhelming at first, but we're going to go through in our next presentation about how to fix a couple specific things, and we're going to take a look at starting with run-on sentences and fragments and comma splices, which a lot of people struggle with. So I will see you guys then, and in the meantime, I look forward to reading your work. Thanks!